The biodome's artificial sun cast amber shadows across the savanna habitat as Jassy knelt before the two genetically resurrected saber-toothed cubs. Her neural implant hummed softly, translating their pheromone signals into data streams that floated across her vision like ethereal equations. "They're doing it again." Daniel's voice crackled through her earpiece from the observation deck 300 meters above. "Predator Stare Protocol Sequence 7, perfect form, actually." Jassy smiled despite the gravity of the moment. The cubs designated SM Alpha 03 and SM Alpha 04 by the Lazarus Genesis Corporation had positioned themselves exactly as their extinct ancestors would have done 10,000 years ago. Their engineered DNA remembered what their species had never forgotten: how to hunt, how to kill, how to survive. SM-Alpha-03, the larger of the two, lowered his massive head. His shoulders rolled forward with mechanical precision, muscles rippling beneath tawny fur that cost more to synthesize than a deep space mining vessel. The cub's amber eyes locked onto Jassy's face, pupils dilating in calculated intervals, a behavior pattern extracted from fossil records, neural pathway reconstructions, and the preserved brain tissue of a single specimen found in the Siberian permafrost. "Heart rate elevated," Daniel reported, his voice tight with concern. "Jassy, the behavioral algorithms are activating. You need to establish dominance before they complete the sequence." But Jassy wasn't afraid. She'd spent 6 years in the Genesis program, resurrecting extinct megafauna from the Pleistocene epoch. She'd witnessed the birth of mammoths, the first flight of terror birds, the territorial displays of dire wolves. She understood something the algorithms couldn't quantify. These weren't just biological machines running ancient software. They were children, confused and magnificent, trying to understand a world that had moved on without them. SM Alpha 04 joined her sibling, smaller but no less intense. Her eyes modified with enhanced tapetum lucidum for the corporation's wealthy safari. Clients reflected the artificial sunlight like molten gold. The cubs began their approach, paws silent against the synthetic grass that had never known real soil. Predator Stare initiated. Daniel's voice had taken on the monotone of someone reading telemetry. Distance, 4.3 meters. Neural activity in their amygdalae increasing. Jassy, this is textbook pre-attack behavior. The fail-safes will activate in 30 seconds. Jassy knew what that meant. Electric barriers would erupt from the ground, nanofilament nets would deploy from hidden sealing mechanisms, and tranquilizer drones would flood the habitat with enough sedatives to drop a tank. The cubs would wake up in isolation chambers, their first attempt at natural behavior cataloged as aggression, their neural pathways flagged for corrective modification. She couldn't let that happen. "Daniel," she whispered, not moving her lips, letting her subvocal implant carry the words. "Override the fail-safes. Authorization Epsilon 77 Tango." "What?" "Jassy, are you insane? Those cubs weigh over 90 kilos each. Their canines are 12 centimeters long. They're designed apex predators. They're babies," Jassy said simply, "and I'm their mother." The cubs continued their advance. Their stare was perfect now, unwavering, intense, a gaze that had brought down mammoths and terrorized early humans. SM Alpha 03's lip curled slightly, exposing a hint of those magnificent teeth. His breathing had slowed, his body coiling like a spring. 3 meters. Jassy's neural implant flooded her vision with warnings: threat assessment critical, survival probability declining, recommend immediate evacuation. She dismissed them with a thought, focusing instead on the cubs' pheromone signatures. Beneath the predatory chemicals, adrenaline, testosterone, hunting hormones, she detected something else: confusion, uncertainty, fear. 2 meters. "They're following their programming," she said softly. 10,000 years of evolutionary memory telling them how to be dangerous. "But look at their secondary hormone levels, Daniel." "Really look." A pause. "Then oxytocin?" "Elevated oxytocin. That's bonding hormone. They're not hunting you. They're testing you." "They're asking if I'm afraid of them," Jassy said. if I'll abandon them like the world that forgot their species. 1 meter. SM Malfa O 3 was close enough now that Jassy could feel his breath. Hot and carrying the scent of the synthetic meat the corporation fed them. His stare had intensified to an almost supernatural degree, every instinct screaming at her to look away, to show submission, to run. Instead, Jassy leaned forward, the cubs froze, their ancient programming encountering an unexpected variable. In all their genetic memory, in all the behaviors encoded in their resurrected DNA, nothing had prepared them for what happened next. Jassy pressed her lips gently against SM Alpha O3's broad, velvet nose. The effect was instantaneous. The cub's eyes widened, his predatory stare shattering into confusion. His ears, which had been pinned back in hunting posture, suddenly swiveled forward. A sound emerged from his throat, not a growl or a snarl, but something between a chirp and a purr, a vocalization that hadn't been heard on Earth for 10 millennia. SM Alpha O4 bumped against her sister, and Jassy kissed her nose too, feeling the wet coolness against her lips, the slight twitch as the cub processed this bizarre development. Well, Daniel's voice carried a mixture of relief and amazement. That's not in any of the behavioral models. Both cubs collapsed against Jassy like oversized house cats, their attempted intimidation display completely forgotten. SM Alpha O3 began grooming her hair with his massive tongue, while SM Alpha O4 rolled onto her back, exposing her belly in absolute trust. Jassy wrapped her arms around them, feeling their warmth, their weight, their impossible existence. These were creatures that shouldn't exist, brought back by human ambition and trillion-dollar genetic engineering. The corporation would sell viewing rights to their hunts, breed them for private collections, turn them into living attractions for the ultra-wealthy. But in this moment, they were just cubs who tried to look fierce and ended up being loved instead. The board isn't going to like this, Daniel said, though Jassy could hear the smile in his voice. Saber-toothed cats who want nose kisses instead of blood aren't exactly premium safari material. Jassy looked up at the observation deck, her arms still around the purring, impossibly ancient cubs. Then maybe, she said, we're resurrecting the wrong things. Maybe what the Pleistocene really needs isn't perfect predators. Maybe it just needs a second chance. Above them, the artificial sun continued its programmed arc, and in the growing shadows, 3 beings, 2 ancient. One modern proved that some bonds transcend extinction itself.